I strongly believe there has to be an international humanitarian effort to improve lives for the people. I think the evidence is pretty clear that the last election in Venezuela was not a free and fair election. And
I think there's more of a delay on that.
I want to see a free and fair election. But to answer your question, let me say this. I'm old enough to remember.
What the fuck? Am I switched over?
And I was as active as I could trying to keep the United States from going to war in Iraq. I was in the Congress at that point. And I am very fearful of the United States continuing to do what it has done in the past. As you know, or may know, the United States overthrew a democratically elected government in Chile, and in Brazil, and in Guatemala, and in other countries around the world. So as someone who fervently believes in human rights and democracy, we have got to do everything that we can. But I think sometimes you have unintended consequences when a powerful nation goes in and tells people who their government will be. So my view is that whether it is Saudi Arabia,
this trashy dude?
which is a despotic regime, or whether it is Venezuela, I think we have got to do everything that we can to create a democratic climate. But I do not believe in U.S. military intervention in those countries.
Why have you, Senator, why have you stopped short of calling Maduro of Venezuela?
I'm rusty. I can feel it.
Well, I think it's fair to say that the last election was undemocratic. But there are still democratic operations taking place in that country. The point is, what I am calling for right now is internationally supervised free elections. And I do find it interesting that Trump is very concerned about what goes on in Venezuela. Well, what about the last election that took place in Saudi Arabia? Oh, there wasn't any election in Saudi Arabia. Oh, women are treated as third-class citizens. So I find it interesting that Trump is kind of selective as to where he is concerned about democracy. My record is to be concerned about democracy all over the world.
Yeah.
What's reclamation ecology? Come on, I'll show you. This is reclamation ecology.
Really missed.
And this. And that. Mosaic is a global leader in the science of reclamation ecology. And we're putting it to work right here at home. Innovative environmental technology, natural habitat for native wildlife.
And sometimes reviving streams that haven't existed for a century.
That's the science of stewardship, the science of Mosaic.
Fucking M16s. There's more damn M16s in this game. Whoa.
You see that?
Yeah, he might end up winning the game for us. You never know.
I think everything in life is self-discipline. The military initially gave me a love for fitness. It just became therapy for me. I heard about Kaiser University through a battle buddy that I was overseas with in the military. For me, school was tough. The more one-on-one attention at Kaiser I really thrived off of, and just the teachers that seem to reach out to you and care. I think that little push right there kept me dedicated. I became
Can I get, can you pick that up for me?
An intern with Kaiser.
Please.
My name is Will Doyle, and I am a Kaiser University graduate.
It's news that will send shockwaves throughout the Roman Catholic Church. Cardinal George Pell, Vatican treasurer, found guilty of child sex abuse. the most senior Vatican official ever convicted of child sex offences. The verdict came down in December, but legal restrictions meant it couldn't be reported in Australia until now.
And all the fixings.
Pell, the country's most powerful Catholic, was on trial for assaulting 2 choir boys in the late 90s when he was Archbishop of Melbourne. The prosecution's case hinged on the testimony of one of those boys. He told the court Pell assaulted them after Mass, forced him to perform oral sex on him, and committed an indecent act with his friend. He also testified that a month later, Pell pushed him against a wall and groped him. He said, quote, "I didn't tell anyone at the time. I had no intention back then of telling anyone
What did you say
ever."
it was? You said it was over here by the door.
The other victim died of a drug overdose as an adult, having never told his family of the abuse. The Cardinal called the allegations outrageous.
I'm innocent of these charges.
Damn, hidden in here?
They are false.
There's a 4 times right there. Does everybody need it?
The idea of sexual abuse is abhorrent to me.
He didn't take the stand during the trial. Instead, a video of his interview with Australian detectives was played to the court. He pleaded not guilty, and his defence lawyer said the accusations were
these are the
a fantasy.
fucking 2 Stooges I play with.
But a jury convicted Pell on all 5 charges. 1 of the sexual penetration of a child, and 4 of an indecent act with or in the presence of a child.
Oh shit,
It's a shocking fall from grace for one of the Vatican's top officials, who has long been an influential, if divisive, figure in Australia.
Trash, you need it 4 times?
He rose through the ranks of the church to become Archbishop of Melbourne, then Sydney, then a cardinal, before being appointed Vatican Treasurer and a member of the Pope's informal Council of Advisors. But while his star rose in the Vatican, Pell came in for mounting criticism at home, as the Australian church became the centre of a global child abuse scandal. A national inquiry into institutional responses to child sexual abuse found 7% of the country's Catholic priests were accused of abusing children between 1950 and 2010. It identified nearly 2,000 alleged perpetrators, including priests, brothers, lay people and religious sisters.
That the Cardinal had given...
When he appeared in front of the Royal Commission in 2016, Pell faced questions about whether he had done enough to weed out abuse and get justice for the victims. Now the Cardinal himself has been convicted, and other survivors of clerical sexual abuse unrelated to the Pell case are elated.
Justice is what I thought, justice for the victims. I think that should give everyone that's thinking about, you know, whether you'll be believed or whether you will or won't win the fight, it should give you the courage to come forward and at least be heard.
Pell's conviction will hurt an organisation already battling decades of revelations about paedophile priests. The Pope removed Pell from his advisory council in December. But the damage to the church may be difficult to repair. Now this global crisis has reached the top of the Vatican. Anna Corrin, CNN, Melbourne.
What's reclamation ecology? Come on, I'll show you.
This is reclamation ecology.
And this.
Oh, there's a guy right over there in the street in the middle of the quarry. In the middle of the road, dropping down to the left side of the quarry. See him?
And we're putting it to work right here at home. Innovative environmental technology.
Whole team. Well, there's one guy across the road to the right side of the quarry.
And sometimes reviving streams that haven't existed for a century.
That's the science of stewardship. The science.
I think they see us. Yep.
How can a voter like me feel confident in your ability to represent the party, especially given that your response to sexual harassment allegations during your campaign is
there's a whole team marked right there,
running around the country trying to make a case to be elected as president?
Well, I think that
I'm gonna let them
a little
pass.
bit out of context. But let me ask you a question. I am enormously proud of the fact that
they're not
we
looking
have
behind
the
them.
most diverse, progressive freshman class
we gotta
in the history of the United States.
Jesus Christ.
And you know what I did in 2016? And in
We're probably going to run right back into these guys.
I ran all over this country to try to make
we
that
can't
happen.
fight right now because otherwise we're going to, if we try to get in this fight,
you're talking about two things. Number
stuck in the blue
one
again.
are the ideas that we are fighting for. An economy that works for all, not just the 1%. But the second point that I have made over and over again is we're not going to be able to implement a progressive agenda unless millions more people get involved in the political process. So I am delighted. I am delighted. We started an organization called Our Revolution. I think Nina Turner is here. You know what the purpose of Our Revolution was about? Is precisely to bring young people into the political process. And I think we're making some real progress.
But what are you going to do, Senator, to make sure that the allegations that occurred against your campaign a couple of years ago are not repeated? What are you personally going to do to make sure that doesn't happen again?
Let me tell you what we have done and what we are doing. I was very upset to learn what I learned. When I ran for re-election in Vermont in 2018, we instituted, I think, maybe the strongest protocols against sexual harassment, and that will be the protocols we bring into the 2020 presidential election. Every employee of mine in this campaign will get significant amounts of training to understand what sexual harassment is about. Anybody who feels harassed will have an independent.
I'm telling these guys off to our left are going to come this way too.
Outside of the campaign, and we have hired some of the best people in the country to help us on this issue. We take this issue very, very seriously.
How has it affected you personally, knowing what happened?
It was very painful, very painful.
President Trump on his way to Vietnam for his second summit with Kim Jong-un, after starting the day touting how close he is with the North Korean dictator.
I have a very, very good relationship with Kim Jong-un. Very, very good.
I'm looking for that team.
We have a special feeling, and I think it's going to lead to something very good.
In a meeting with the country's governors, the president laid out the U.S.'s goal that North Korea get rid of its nuclear weapons without defining exactly what that looks like.
I think we'll have a very tremendous summit. We want denuclearization. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
While also appearing to tamp down expectations.
I'm not in a rush. I don't want to rush anybody. I just don't want testing. As long as there's no testing, we're happy.
A far cry from his position following the first summit last June.
It will be a total denuclearization, which is already starting.
The president had gone even further in a tweet saying, quote, "There is no longer a nuclear threat from North Korea."
You guys want to move up in front of him?
But Secretary of State Mike Pompeo told Jake on State of the Union that's just not true.
Do you think North Korea remains a nuclear threat? Yes. But the president said he doesn't. It's not what he said. I mean, I know precisely. He tweeted it. There is no longer a nuclear threat from North Korea.
Right. What he said is that what he said was that the efforts that had been made in Singapore, this commitment that Chairman Kim made, have substantially taken down the risk to the American people.
As the talks play out, key events in Congress could distract from the president's summit.
Mr. Cohen, did you meet with the Senate Intelligence Committee today?
Including Trump's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, testifying before Congress 3 times, privately and publicly.
Immigrants are welcome here.
And the House will vote Tuesday to block the president's national emergency declaration for the border wall.
If you don't have it, you're not going to have borders. You're not going to have a country pretty soon.
58 former senior national security officials see it differently, signing on to a scathing bipartisan letter admonishing the president's declaration, saying it's at odds with the administration's own data and estimates.
Well, new this morning, could 18-year-old women have to register for the U.S. military draft system? Now, the system set up to draft men over 18 for military service is in case of extreme emergency. But now a U.S. District Court judge has ruled male-only registration is unconstitutional. The selective service system argued that a 1981 Supreme Court ruling said women could be excluded from a draft because they were not, quote, similarly situated with men for draft purposes. However, Judge Gray Miller ruled men and women are similarly situated. The judge did not issue an injunction. We'll keep an eye on what happens next.
Yeah, we're in the circle. Come on, roast.
What's reclamation ecology? Come on, I'll show you. This is reclamation ecology. And this. And that. Mosaic is a global leader in the science of reclamation ecology, and we're putting it to work right here at home. Innovative environmental technology, natural habitat for native
This is where we were at the other day, Green.
Sometimes reviving streams that haven't existed for a century.
That's the science of
Yeah,
stewardship.
that's where we got our asses handed to us.
Of Mosaic.
We wanted to see what life is like under the Taliban. We traveled to Afghanistan.
Where's that fucking one
and
team?
managed to spend 2 days in Taliban territory.
They may have.
We kind of often do this when we're working together, is we start off with, okay, what's the dream? And then let's break it down and try to do it.
Ooh, where are we gonna go?
This was an assignment where they said,
oh, we got team. I just marked down in the sand, down in the grass. This side of the river.
We don't like
Yep, this
you.
side of
We don't love you being here.
He's laid out in
but
the grass
we
over there
recognize that
somewhere.
in this moment
I think
in
he saw me.
time, It is politically expedient for us to do this. We were obviously wearing the full facial veil, the niqab.
Fuck, about 100 yards, 330, where I just marked.
It allows me to be invisible. On the other hand, it inhibits the way
Where'd he
you
go?
interact
Shit.
with people. They don't want us to walk out.
He may have got up.
Because I'm a woman. And we weren't just wearing it for security reasons. That
Yeah,
was, of course,
there's
part of
green
it, but
going
we were
again.
wearing it
Fuck.
because we were required to wear it. And that was something our host very much wanted to make sure that we understood.
We worked very closely with an Afghan filmmaker, Najibullah Qureshi. He was really
Two
the
M4s
one
in here.
with the stellar reputation that allowed him to bring myself and Selma into Taliban territory. I fundamentally believe that this story could not have been done by a man. No one would ask your name. No one would really ask where you were from, because you were women with an Afghan man, and it would be rude, in a sense, to that Afghan man to ask personal questions about who you were or where you were from.
There they come, across the bridge, top the hill.
It was interesting, though, as women, to be in those women.
That's that one guy I saw earlier.
And have that, you know, that distance that the men have to create.
30.
So polite, and they wanted to keep.
35. He's
speaking to
running
us.
around the corner up there.
They brought us out the best food they had, the best bedding they had. It was just really
I about
kind
hit him.
to see that very familial part of Afghanistan.
Good job.
Look, but don't touch. Touch, but don't use.
Yeah.
Use, but don't enjoy. Enjoy, but don't show it.
If you're going to follow one rule, make sure it's this one. Luxury should be lived in. Experience the Infiniti QX50 at your local Infiniti retailer.
One body has been recovered from a deadly cargo plane crash just east of Houston. Investigators say the large 767 jet nose dived into shallow water yesterday. 3 people were on board. Now we're hearing the conversation between the pilot and air traffic control,
They're coming across the bridge over here.
just before the deadly crash.
Good afternoon, Giants. 3591.
I am shooting that motherfucker.
17-8 descending via the link, and we have Sierra.
591 heavy. There is a little bit of light. Well, now it's showing a little bit of heavy. Light to heavy
he popped out.
precipitation just west.
It's just one.
It looks like van, and it is moving eastbound. So once you get in closer, if we need to go vectors around it, we'll be able to accommodate that.
91.
Are you picking up any ELTs right now?
Grenade.
Well, if you pick up an ELT at all ahead of you.
Total 690. See if you can make ground contact. We're looking for a lost aircraft. It's 11 o'clock and 2 miles. This is a heavy Boeing 767.
All right, there, show 690.
I think you were in that house.
No ground contact from here.
We got a 514. See if you can make ground contact. We're looking for a heavy Boeing 767 about 11 o'clock and 7 miles.
Air traffic control there, talking to other pilots after they lost contact with the cargo plane. The 767 was operated by Atlas Air worldwide, and it was working for Amazon.
He's got to come up. I know. Oh, he's got an SKS.
If your financial fingerprint says you're too busy to track the markets, explore Essential Portfolios, a low-cost, automated approach to investing.
He's got to come out.
What we're seeing on our screen right now, in just the last maybe 30 seconds, the fire on this bus has really kicked up. We saw a group of protesters, they're pushing the bus next to this building. Now the building is on fire, showing how quickly this is escalating. We know that our CNN team has seen Venezuela National Guard fire rubber bullets in the direction of a group that was there on the border as well at another location. But we're seeing just how things are degrading quickly here in this part of Venezuela. You can hear the cheering. I'm going to pause for a minute so you can listen in. Nick, the crowd around you, because the shot is so tight, how many people are there?
I would say actually here quite a small number, but the scene we appear to be seeing here, riot police dropping their shields. This is quite extraordinary. Riot police.
There he goes, coming across the bridge. 350. Coming down the rocks.
A moment of calm here, because they have been appealing to these men to give themselves over, to hand themselves over to Colombian migration officials and accept an amnesty, as we've seen earlier on. And the shields have been up until now. Now, we're not seeing anybody crossing the line just yet, but it is remarkable that you join me at this moment where Venezuelan, on this side in Colombia, protester, opposition loyal, is now face to face, without a riot shield in between, with Venezuelan riot police. It is quite an extraordinary moment. It is the closest we've seen here to some sense of amnesty. We're just going to ask this gentleman here if he will speak to us at all. Why have you lowered your shield, sir?
Señor.
Señor.
¿Por qué bajaste el protector?
Yep.
¿Qué significa?
And they don't want to speak. You see, obviously you have to remember that those who work in the Venezuelan security forces depend upon their position, depend upon their salary for food. Often there are boxes handed out amongst the armed services that frankly feed your family. So the choice that man made, looking down and drinking water here, is most likely because he's worried his family may go hungry if he doesn't talk to us, or he may simply disagree with the opposition movement. But if you look at this scene here,
he comes, he's throwing a grenade.
There is extraordinary
God, he's gonna toss a
calm.
grenade.
They have constantly been appealing to people to in fact allow the aid through gently and hand themselves over.
Pressure on them.
But this extraordinary moment here is the moment of unity where you see that line of shields, you saw it yourself, coming down.
Here he comes.
Now that will be a moment of great shock, I'm sure, for those loyal to the Maduro government, frankly, because seeing a moment
pushing
like
us
this,
from the bridge. The bridge is coming. The bridge is coming. Bridge is coming now.
Very symbolic moment if the aid organised by the United States and the opposition crosses from Colombia, where you can get food very easily, into Venezuela,
we left, guys.
where it frankly is a nightmare to get hold of. If they begin to change their mind or crumble or look as relaxed as this, then Maduro in Caracas today, seeing protests along the border, closing many of his borders, I'm sure be extremely nervous. Back to you.
What's reclamation?
I don't see him.
Come on, I'll show you. This is reclamation.
Oh, I see him. I see him.
And this and that. Mosaic is a global leader in the science of reclamation ecology, and we're putting it to work.
Oh shit! Fuck!
Innovative environmental technology, natural habitat for native wildlife.
Good game.
And sometimes reviving streams that haven't existed for a century.
That's the science of stewardship, the science of Mosaic.
You know, Victor and Christy, this is really a bombshell revelation because we have heard this from survivors for decades. The fact that the church had destroyed files, that they have these secret files. Well, a cardinal today, this is day 3 of a historic summit on clergy sex abuse here at the Vatican. He mentioned it in a speech. He started off by talking about transparency because the theme for today is transparency, and he said that transparency is not what damages the church. It is the abuse, the lack of transparency, and the cover-up that damages the church. And then he went on to say that, indeed, the church had destroyed records. Take a listen.
Files that could have documented the terrible deeds and named those responsible were destroyed or not even created. The stipulated procedures and processes for the prosecution of offenses were deliberately not complied with, but instead cancelled or overridden.
I hope that makes a difference. I hope they actually see that if one of them stands up and says, look, we need to do something here about this. And he's saying we're destroying documents, so the rest of them will take that as a cue to say we need to end this thing.
Now, one of the things that I'm very curious about is, are civil authorities listening to what is happening at the Vatican right now? Because we know that there are multiple investigations that are civil investigations, not just in the United States, but Chile and other countries across the world. In the United States specifically, we know of at least a dozen investigations at the state level. There are investigations at the local level. We know of at least 2 federal probes, one in Pennsylvania, another one in New York. And a lot of the survivors, Christy and Vicky, that I've been talking to here in Rome, they tell me that they're trying to push for a full federal probe so that they can have the full force of the U.S. Department of Justice on their side to investigate this. And now with this bombshell revelation of a cardinal actually admitting that the destruction of records has occurred, they're all very curious if this is going to have an impact.
What the hell? I'm coughing. It's got to end.
Stream all of HBO without cable. Every episode of every series.
Yeah, this for you?
Sports. Talking news. Documentaries. Movies. And so much more. HBO Now. Start your free trial today.
Let's hit Cantra.
Ooh, that punch was caught on camera at UC Berkeley, and we know the man on the receiving end is Hayden Williams, a man who helps train conservative leaders, and that he's okay. It's not clear who the dude is delivering the blow or why. Campus police say that he was gone by the time they got there. The school says, we strongly condemn violence and harassment of any sort. For any reason.
One guy left.
This sort of behavior is intolerable and has no place here.
Sorry.
The incident's under investigation, but my word.
We got 3 chicken dinners in a row the other night.
Christy Rice says that when she was a student at Wayne County High School in Southwest Tennessee, her basketball coach, David Bird, sexually assaulted her.
You know, you'd have to come in the office after ball games, and, you know, we're supposed to be reviewing plays, reviewing the game, and it was touching.
Well, more like with Green
now,
running
30
off.
years later, Coach Bird is third-term Tennessee State Representative Bird. For years, Rice said that as long as she was the only victim, she planned to keep the alleged abuse a secret. But after she says she heard from 2 other alleged victims, Rice confronted the Republican representative by phone, and she secretly recorded this call last February.
I have been so sorry. I mean, for that. I mean, I've lived with that, and you don't know how hard it has been for me.
Bird apologizes several times during the call, but he never says what it is that he's apologizing for.
When we have communion at church every Sunday, I mean, that's something that, I mean, I'm still, you know, asking forgiveness for.
Did he actually say, I touched your breast and I'm so sorry? No, he did not. But like I said, the entire content of the conversation, the 18 minutes, is all about sex and the effect that it did have on me and the other 2 that have come forward.
We reached out to Representative Bird several times, even visited his Nashville office and Wayne County home to ask him about the accusations. There was no answer at either. Rice and the 2 other accusers told their stories to local reporters last year, but despite their graphic claims and the recording of Bird's apology, he was re-elected in November by a 56-point margin, and now he's the new chair of the House Education Administration Subcommittee.
Yes, he'll do a good job.
That's Tennessee Republican House Speaker Glenn Cassida on the left. He supports Byrd in this video that filmmaker and former Democratic congressional candidate Jason Canu says he secretly recorded in January. Canu posted this tape this week.
I don't think they're lying. I think they're believing something that's not true.
If you listen to those tapes, there's nothing else that man could be talking about.
And I disagree. I just disagree.
What are the what's the other thing that he could have done that would have caused this?
I don't know. I don't know.
However, when Canu tells the speaker the women say they are being ostracized in their communities and that's why they've stayed quiet for 30 years, the speaker says,
If I was raped, I would move and hell would have no fury.
Where should we all move?
Speaker Cassidy would not speak with CNN on camera, but in a statement he says in part, if you actually listen to the context of the conversation, it is abundantly clear what was meant by my statement. If you have been raped or sexually assaulted in any way, you should absolutely move to hold those involved fully accountable for their actions. Rice says she's a Democrat, but this is not about politics.
Do you think Representative Byrd should keep his chairmanship, should keep his seat in the Tennessee State House?
No, personally, I don't think he should.
Victor Blackwell, CNN, Waynesboro, Tennessee.
What's reclamation ecology? Come on, I'll show you.
This is reclamation ecology.
And this. And that. Mosaic is a global leader in the science of reclamation ecology, and we're putting it to work right here at home. Innovative environmental technology, natural habitat for native wildlife.
And sometimes, reviving streams that haven't existed for a century.
That's the science of stewardship, the science of Mosaic.
Yep.
How do you plead to that charge, Mr. Turpin? And Mrs. Turpin? A felony occurring on or about January 15, 2015.
This is among the worst, most aggravated child abuse cases that I have ever seen.
With this ring. I remarry. You.
You guys hit this stuff where I'm at, didn't you?
Yeah.
But if you can imagine being 17 years old and appearing to be a 10-year-old, being chained to a bed, being malnourished, and injuries associated with that, I would call that torture.
Trump's former lawyer and keeper of secrets, Michael Cohen, set to answer questions tomorrow from the Senate Intel Committee. He's going to do it behind closed doors. But that is the beginning of Cohen's three-day marathon on Capitol Hill. So just imagine, right, the split screen, there you go, on television on Wednesday. The day Cohen is set to testify in the House, under oath, live on TV. As the president meets with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un in Vietnam. The question is, will there be any real progress to end that nuclear threat?
Yeah, I think I'm going to do it.
I think we'll have a very tremendous summit. We want denuclearization.
Yeah, there's a BSS. I'm thinking about switching to it.
Set a lot of records for speed in terms of an economy.
So let's not forget, okay? The president seems to see Kim Jong-un through rose-colored glasses.
We fell in love, okay? No, really. He wrote me beautiful letters.
I'm all good.
But you gotta wonder, everybody in the administration is on the same page. You gotta wonder, are they on the same page? Listen to this exchange between the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, and our very own Jake Tapper. Here it is.
Do you think North Korea remains a nuclear threat? Yes. But the president said he doesn't.
It's not what he said. I mean, I know precisely.
He tweeted it. There is no longer a nuclear threat from North Korea.
That's right. He did. The president clearly tweeted last June, okay? And this is a quote. He said, There is no nuclear threat from North Korea. That was a quote. The president tweeted this. There is no nuclear threat from North Korea.
I can spare 60 rounds.
Thursday will be day 2 of the Trump-Kim summit, as Cohen goes back to Capitol Hill
Burl.
for another grilling. This time from the House
Is it going to be
Intelligence
762?
Committee behind closed doors. Now, you can bet the president that President Trump will want to have a news conference to get attention for any progress he makes with Kim on the nuclear threat.
Yeah, I'll take it.
They'll undoubtedly have to answer.
I'll give you all the 5.56 I got then. You guys can separate that.
One big development we're not expecting this week, and that is the Mueller report. But that doesn't mean the president can rest easy right now. He said the timing of the report is totally up to his new handpicked Attorney General William Barr, who, in his confirmation hearing last month,
need none of your shit.
said he would provide
Where's
as
that
much
M24?
transparency as he can. Note he said, as much as he can.
Oh, there's more of it in here.
So that'll be totally up to him. I guess from what I understand, that will be totally up to the Attorney General, okay?
So there's no requirement that
There's 100. Oh, shit, I picked it up. Sorry.
Even though we, the American people, are the ones paying for it. The Deputy Attorney General, who is Rod Rosenstein.
What the fuck did I do? Where did all the...
his chest today.
What's the Attorney General going to do? You'll have to ask him that question.
I dumped it out.
A lot of people are wondering what Rosenstein meant when he said this.
When we charge somebody with a violation, we need to be prepared to prove it by evidence beyond any reasonable doubt. And the guidance I always gave my prosecutors, the agents that I worked with during my tenure on the front lines of law enforcement were, if we aren't prepared to prove our case beyond a reasonable doubt in court, then we have no business making allegations against American citizens.
I dropped an M4.
What is he saying? Is that a sign that the report will stay under wraps?
Nope.
Congressman Adam Schiff.
Fuck, I had a goddamn suppressor and everything for DMR.
I've had this conversation with Rod Rosenstein and others on down at the Justice Department.
Here's another 30 rounds.
They turned over thousands and thousands of pages of discovery in the Clinton email investigation, and there was no indictment in that investigation. That this was a new precedent they were setting, and they were going to have to live
Here's
by
some more
this
5.56, 30 rounds.
Whether it was a Congress controlled by the Democrats or Republicans.
It looks like Congress is gearing up for a big fight over the Mueller report. And there's more facing the president here at home. The House expected to pass a resolution of disapproval in the wake of his declaring a national emergency to start building his border wall without money from Congress.
It's a big, beautiful, powerful steel wall that you can see through, which is very important to be able to see through.
Mag would be just
and
as
if
good.
you don't have it, you're not going to have borders. You're not going to have a country pretty soon.
And in the face of all that,
I got extended med.
The case of the Trump White House attempting to
flash
ignore
hider.
the truth. This time, the truth about climate change. The president was reportedly upset by his own administration's national climate assessment, which described climate change as a threat to this country. These are his own people.
And
he's upset about it not buying it, reportedly, okay? So, well, he's not. Because his White House is setting up a new working group of federal scientists.
I'm good, boys. Just need maybe a little more
scientific.
A little more meds would be helpful.
To actually try to debunk the administration's own conclusions.
Oh, I'm going for this drop.
You can't write. That's according to the Washington Post. Like I said, this week is a very big deal with news of Paul Manafort, Michael Cohen, Rod Rosenstein.
Nope.
And as they say in the TV business, and more. All while the president is sitting across a table from Kim Jong-un. And the stakes in all this could not be higher.
This motherfucker's gonna drop in the goddamn water.
What's reclamation ecology? Come on, I'll show you. This is reclamation ecology! And this, and that. Mosaic is a global leader in the science of reclamation ecology, and we're putting it to work right here at home. Innovative environmental technology, natural habitat for native wildlife.
And sometimes, reviving streams that haven't existed for a century.
I'm just taking, I'm not taking a weapon.
The science of Mosaic.
Unless it's an
At almost exactly the same time, just before 9 a.m. Eastern, President Trump landed in Vietnam. And his former fixer, Michael Cohen, arrived on Capitol Hill for the first of 3 days of testimony. Cohen meeting all day behind closed doors with the Senate Intelligence Committee. Republican Senator Roy Blunt telling CNN he did spend quite a bit of time explaining what he had told us before that wasn't
There's a bunch of 556 in there.
Are you sure you can trust Mr. Cohen?
There's a track record of questionable doing that.
Tomorrow, the most anticipated testimony is planned, when Cohen speaks publicly for the first time at a House Oversight Committee hearing. He's expected to divulge intimate behind-the-scenes details about Donald Trump during his more than 10 years working for him, discussing publicly Trump's role in some of the crimes Cohen pleaded guilty to last year, including the payments to 2 women who alleged having an affair with Trump weeks before the 2016 election. Payments Cohen claims Trump directed him to make.
He was trying to hide what you were doing, correct?
Correct.
And he knew it was wrong?
Of course.
Mr. Cohen.
Cohen may also provide documents to back up his claims, a source tells CNN.
Thank you very much.
House Oversight Chairman Elijah Cummings says the committee is cleared to talk to Cohen about 10 different areas relating to Trump, after working out those topics with Special Counsel Robert Mueller's office and federal investigators in New York. Cummings adding, the worst thing we can do is interfere with any of the investigations. For their part, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders releasing a scathing statement today saying, quote, it's laughable that anyone would take a convicted liar like Cohen at his word, and pathetic to see him given yet another opportunity to spread his lies.
Very simply, Michael Cohen is lying, and he's trying to get a reduced sentence for things that have nothing to do with me.
But despite the White House's dismissal of Cohen, officials tell CNN the White House will be watching his public testimony closely and taking notes to brief the president. Though the expectation is that Trump will stay up overnight watching before his highly anticipated one-on-one meeting with the North Korean dictator.
I don't think this has been hit too bad. I'm dropping 40 rounds at 5.5.
Infinity. Empower the drive.
A food recall to tell you about. Boston Market is recalling more than 100,000 pounds of its frozen meals. People have complained they have found plastic and glass inside. All of the affected meals were made in Ohio by Bellisio Foods and shipped to stores nationwide. Here is what you need to look for. A 14-ounce package of Boston Market home-style meals. The boneless pork rib-shaped patty with barbecue sauce and mashed potatoes. These are the Best By dates and lot codes that may be affected. If you think you may have one, call the number on your screen and bring it back, they say, to the stores.
I want to come outside of this place. Oof.
Stream all of HBO without cable, every episode of every series.
Yeah, this for you?
Sports. Talking news. Documentaries. Movies. And so much more. HBO Now. Start your free trial today.
183 people stranded on an Amtrak train since Sunday in Oak Ridge, Oregon, are now venting their frustrations. Amtrak's Coast Starlight Train 11 was traveling from Seattle to Los Angeles when it hit a tree that had fallen onto the tracks. Winter weather conditions making it unsafe to evacuate everyone.
We've been stuck here for 24 hours now. We're running low on supplies.
Obviously, a lot of this is out of Amtrak's control. And I get that, but I feel like
it came from Trebno down towards
their frustration. Amtrak says it's actively working with Union Pacific to clear the right of way and get passengers.
People are going to drop off here.
What a nightmare.
People are all pushing in. So I like this, run along this river here. Let's not go to our left. Or we can. I'm just saying after the circle closes. Yep. I'm watching the blue there. Oh, somebody shot at us. It sounded like from the blue. Or someone with a silenced weapon for a long shot. But either way, we got to wait. We got to. Yeah, let's head towards. We only got 25 seconds. We got to go. I don't think they're behind us. I think it was a shot from that house over there. Anyway, we got to go. We got to get over there anyway. We got 4 seconds. Up to our right, to our right. Right here, right here. Blue's going to push him. He's going around the house. It's just one guy. You're going to have to fall back, Roast. He's going to spend more time in the blue than we are. Roast. Where's he at? I'm waiting for him to cross over. There he goes. Knocked him. Let's go. Let's go. Well, they ain't gonna make it. There's no way. He's probably solo. Probably one of those. Shit, that's gonna throw. That's not gonna help me, Roast. You're gonna die. I'm ticking hard. I'm not gonna make it now. Keep fucking around. Nothing pisses me off more than dying into the blue. We could have fought him down here. We could have got to the blue. He's dead. But you can't stay in the blue. Whatever. We can't stay here. We gotta go. Fuck. Fucking blue, man. Oof, I hate this damn part. I want to go up to the left. I don't want to get caught down here under the bridge and stuff. Have these rocks for cover, hopefully. Pushing these rocks to hill. Somebody's shooting us. Somebody's shooting a guy up on the rocks. Yep. He just went in. Is that him right there? No. Damn, I don't know where I'm gonna go from here. Am I in the fucking circle? Nope. Where I'm gonna go. Watch out, watch out, watch out, trash, you're gonna get hit. Ah, fuck. Two. Holy shit, if I get up, it's a miracle. I have no fucking health. Do you have a med kit? Oh shit. What? Alright, I'm taking a chance to run. No, I didn't. I got it. Oh, right behind us. Oh, shit. Right here, right here, right here. Fuck. Oh, shit. He's right, left corner, right to your left. I didn't see his ass over there. Fuck. Damn it, man. Somebody came to. I'll be right back, guys. I'm back. Roast will be back on. No, I mean green. Half an hour. Little fucker was tucked into that damn corner, wasn't he? I don't know how he survived because he had me and this other guy shooting at him. Where do you want to go? Trash, your pick. Which one is trash? Trash, okay, wants to go to, there he goes. That's it. I don't know. They're going to that big town over there. They're going to Shanami, or whatever you call it. Yep, one with us. Let's get him. Yep, he's over here. Let's build him with me. Yeah, I think he's. I hit him. Ah, he hit me too. He's pushing me. Oh, they're. Well. Fuck! Damn, I suck. I ain't hurt that motherfucker. All right. All right, guys, I'm gonna. No, I guess I'll stay on.